The next match is brought to you by Slim Jim. Need a little excitement? Snap into it. Oh, I bet you could devour a meat stick right now, Michael Cole. Well, I guess we're just done with phrasing. It's not even a thing anymore. We're taking phrasing, we're throwing it out the goddamn window, we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, we're hooking up phrasing to a cable, and then we're going to lower it in. I regret to inform you that nevertheless, I'm John Renton with my review, WWE SummerSlam 2025 Night 1 from MetLife Stadium. Yeah, the show started good, it ended pretty good, but boy do I have thoughts. Oh boy do I ever. My thought is that extending SummerSlam to 2 nights is going to have its issues, much like extending WrestleMania to 2 nights. There are going to be good parts, there are going to be bad parts, there's going to be endless ads, and sponsors. Diamonds! What do you guys think of the show? Let me know. So anyway, MetLife Stadium has a big old capacity, and they had around 50,000 people there, so that's pretty good considering the pricing for the tickets is astronomical. I mean, I'm not even going to fathom going to a WWE show. I could win the fucking Powerball, and I don't know if I'd want to go to a WWE show. I'd take that money and give it to, like, needy children, or like a goddamn, pet shelter or something. So anyway, Breland, I don't know who the hell that is, sung God Bless America. He sings well. I will say that the stadium looked great. They said sponsored by Wingstop. Don't worry, it's not the only sponsor spot. You have to really look for the sponsor spots, though, because they're really, really well hidden. In the sense that they are being thrown at you like the fucking spears and the blue-skinned Smurfs in goddamn Avatar, and Avatar 2, and Avatar whatever the fuck the third one is. James Cameron wants to make 6 of those? Please. I don't know who Drewski is. Apparently he's an actor-comedian, according to one of my friends. I can't say I've ever seen him in anything. So again, the stadium looks great. And here is Miss WAP herself, Cardi B, shrieking Joyride 2023 noises. If you have not seen Joyride, please see that. Not the 2001 horror movie that spawned 2 sequels that really were unnecessary, but the 2023 comedy that was absolutely fucking tremendous. So, Cardi, by the way, was wearing a dress that apparently required the deaths of 50 black geese. But she was yelling and fired up and potentially drunk. Whatever. I mean, Cardi looks great, and she's got a huge fan base. And, 2 massive fan bases going with her. But I digress. She at least was fired up. So, Jey Uso is up high for his entrance. My God, I was like, it's going to take him forever. He is going to need an oxygen tank. He is going to be gassed. And he made it there. He got a big old pop. Somebody tweeted that he crossed from New Jersey to New York to make his entrance. And from what I remember about where MetLife is, not far off. And they popped for Roman. We got to sing along. And it was a good thing that Jay got a chance to breathe for about 5,000 years while Roman made his entrance. The tariff chief, as it were. I would feel bad about knocking Roman like that. But don't worry, I'm going to get to certain things a little bit later on that will probably anger a few people still watching this channel. Here comes Bronson. He has the shoes. It's got to be the shoes. See, Spike Lee was right all this time. I think Spike Lee meant you should buy the shoes, though, but whatever. Here comes Bronson did it, and I'm not going to tell him he can't. And Braun Rechsteiner is his partner, along with Heyman. Heyman having the sneakers around his goddamn neck is hilarious, because I don't think Heyman's seen the goddamn inside of a gym in 20 years. And I would feel bad about shaming that guy, but that guy has made tons of money off of the blood and broken bodies and the corpses of various people in ECW, so I don't feel bad. So it's more like Roman Reigns. Now that everybody shut off the review, let's go on against Braun and Bronson. A jump start, and then Jay wanted his entrance played, which apparently you can do during the match, and this, by the way, was sponsored by Minute Maid. Don't worry, we see Minute Maid a little bit later on. So, I do want to say that, considering my expectations for this, and while I have seen enough of the build, I've checked out the clips, I haven't watched a full episode of Raw in a couple of weeks. They did a good job here. Roman might have gotten his jaw jacked at one point when Steiner just launched himself right at his face. That's what you get for having your teeth so goddamn white that, the disgraced orange piece of shit that's stumbling around that brought Triple H, Mr. Cardiac Incident, to be part of his fitness program, despite the fact that he can't do anything. He can't even take a bump or otherwise, oh no. So goddamn white that they wanted to bring him onto the cabinet. So, there was a nice Great Falls tag where it looked like holy goddamn shit after Braun jammed his knee in the announcer's table. It looked like Jay might get the tag, but no, here comes Bronson, grabs Roman. Perfect timing on that. Very, very good. That was a great way to get the crowd into it. And then we got, a diving clothesline to Roman. We got some good, back and forth here. Like, it was not a bad match. I think there were a few parts where I think people got confused about their spots. Reed did a dive at one point. That's scary. A Steiner Bulldog for 2. Barricade spot to Braun. And then the 1D, once Roman finally realized he still had to wrestle before he went on vacation again. 1-2. And then Roman took the spear meant for Jay. And then suddenly a splash on Here Comes Bronson. 1, 2, 3. Okay, why? I mean, then again, given what happened at the end, it sort of makes sense, but I get it, but I would have gone with the heels winning, but I get why they went with a big reaction for, the opener. And that was fine. And then we got some celebrities in attendance. Various, I believe the singers from before, or the singer from before. Minute Maid juice boxes. Okay. I thought they were called exotic dancers, but I digress. Roxanne and Raquel took on Charlotte and Alexa Bliss for the women's tag titles. Not only was the crowd dead, but I didn't give a fuck. I like Roxanne. This is sponsored by Papa John's, by the way. More on them in a bit. It was about 15 minutes between the end of each match till the next one. Whatever. They moved enough of this along that it didn't seem as egregious, so I expect night 2 to drag. The crowd did eventually pop when Charlotte started hitting the chops, and when Alexa got in, because for some reason they like Alexa, despite the fact that she's not that good. But she's got a big fan base. I can't fault that one bit. She also moves merch. Jim Jones also moved a lot of people to believe what he said, and that probably ends up having about the same amount of result with how some stands are. But we got, at one point, it looked like Alexa was going to get in trouble for fisting Charlotte. Fortunately, Charlotte has the face of Sharon Stone and Catwoman, and it didn't affect her at all. Pop Rocks got broken up, and then we got Sister Abigail, 1, 2, 3, new women's tag team champions. For why? For who? For what reason? I mean, if we're gonna knock Judgment Day down quite a bit and get them to where Liv is going to get a Judgment Day that is damaged and take Roxanne out and Raquel out before eventually winning the women's championship at Mania 42. Yeah, 42. I'm losing track of the goddamn numbers here, guys. I'm sorry. If it leads to Liv becoming champion, singles champion at WrestleMania, I get it, but they'll probably end up winning the tag titles back at some point. They got Pyro, and they have reduced Dragon Lee to being part of the Papa John spots. Why was Maxine not wearing pants and just a sports jersey? Why was any of this happening besides that sweet sponsorship dollar? Nikki was serving them pizza, fresh out of the box. I'm glad that Nikki's doing well. It's bullshit she has to pay alimony to her goddamn, piece of shit husband who doesn't deserve any, or ex-husband who doesn't deserve any of it because he never fucking earned it. So, the crowd popped for Cross. I would like to know what's in the water of New Jersey. At least I would say that given who they reacted to later. I'll give it a pass. Sammy got a pop. And all this was about Cross and Scarlett trying to get Zayn to embrace his dark side. He would not pipe Cross in front of Scarlett. Tom Q. Sherwood said, Scarlett wants Sammy to pipe her husband while she watches. Tom, it's a good thing you're really good at art. Because otherwise I'd wonder about you. He is really good at art. That he will not see this. He's got better things to do. But he's a great artist, great passionate wrestling fan from Canada. And I just wanted to say that right there. But there's levels to, making sure that you pipe another man's wife. But just make sure he doesn't know. That I've heard. I can't speak from experience and shut up. So anyway, but no, Tom really does a great art. So, Cross lost, and I guess Cross and Scarlett are gone from the company. because I guess they're not going to resign or sign new deals. No big loss. I'm sorry. I mean, if they can't find better money outside of WWE and if they wanted to sign him to another 2-year deal, fine, but just why at this point? He would just be losing. And he's at least 40 or close to it. He probably wants to try to do something else. Can't go to AEW, though. Maybe he goes back to Impact. Maybe New Japan can use him on their US brand. Fuck, they could use something. So, they do the Hogan tribute. And Nick Hogan is there. Remember when Nick Hogan paralyzed a guy and turned him into a vegetable because he was a lousy goddamn driver? Remember when Nick Hogan was in jail and Hogan ended up, or Hulk, because he's the only one who deserves to be called Hogan, despite the fact that I am glad Hulk Hogan's dead. Remember when Hulk ended up saying to Nick, the worst thing that could happen is they come back reincarnated as black guys? Remember when Nick decided to expose himself as a racist goddamn son of a bitch by attacking various people, including LeBron James? Remember when Nick Hogan should have been the victim in that car wreck and not his friend? Remember that? The name of the friend actually is escaping me right now, but I remember he was an innocent victim. Yeah, fuck Nick Hogan. He's getting all upset and emotional because his fucking meal ticket's gone. Nobody's going to remember Nick Hogan when he's probably found in a ditch, hopefully by his own doing. His wife deserves better, but she feels the same that he does, and she deserves to go down with the goddamn ship. The crowd booed this, by the way, and I just want to say I'm glad that at least some people that were within camera shot booed. Look, Hogan did a lot for professional wrestling. That can't be taken away. And that will never be taken away. He was an admitted racist, a goddamn pathological liar, a fucking trumper, and quite frankly, anybody like him, including you if you happen to support that guy, deserve the absolute worst. An Xfinity upgrade for 2 white people. I don't know who the hell they are. And Jade was in a Jamaican jacket. Less humble Tej is going to be mad that I said that, but there you go. Tej is a really, really good guy, but he will not watch this, but anybody that knows Tej, you get it. So anyway, Tiffany comes out with a standard entrance, and this was sponsored by Seagram's Escapes, meaning you could drink and escape. Escape the messiness of this match where, look, Jade is what she is. She is never going to be anything better. It is not that she doesn't try, but I think this experiment is just about over. I'm not saying give up on her. She looks like $1 million and she's marketable. And then the bell rings. Then she wrestles like $1 million. The dirty green and wrinkled kind. You know, where you have to smooth it out and it looks like a freaking paint bomb went off. There was a beautiful swanton by Tiffany. That was great. And Jay did a nice backbreaker and did some good spots. But they had to lay all this shit out. And there was an Alabama slam where I think Jade was too tall to take it. And also I think Tiffany was trying to be safe. The feet up and Jaded. She hits Jade does. And then rolls Tiffany towards the goddamn ropes. And Jesus, if she had rolled any further, they would have been in the 5th row. But whatever, nice spot. Way to protect the finish. And then a choke slam. Not the pause on the choke slam that we get later. And then it looked like we were going to get Jada from the top. We got a roll through. And Tiffany, by the way, did end up hitting a dive during this. And Roman hit a dive earlier in his match. 2 dives that could have ended really fucking badly. And a roll through. Jade lands. PME 1, 2, 3. I'm very shocked by that. I would have thought they would have given it to Jade. But maybe they thought, maybe this isn't going to work. Like, yes, it's not a guarantee the king and queen of the ring winning. But you would have thought with Tiffany's having decent feuds. I mean, the feud with Charlotte didn't really fucking go anywhere, but there it is. And Tiffany is good, especially for her lack of experience. She's only been doing this for about 4 years, and she is good. But I would have thought they would have wanted to capitalize on Jade, but there we are. Cardi B is in the front row. This is after we see a Smashing Machine ad, which looks terrible. And then we see something else that people would like to smash. Here's Cardi B. Stephanie near New York. Remember when Stephanie McMahon compared the steroid trials that her family went through to the 9/11 attacks? Remember that? I remember it, and I'm not going to forget it. And I would say that to her fucking face, and she deserves to have that fucking known. and everybody that quite frankly meets her, anybody at meet and greets or whatever on the street. Hey, you remember when you compared the 9/11 attacks to steroid trials and it had absolutely nothing to do with that because you're just as bad as your dad? So anyway, Logan Paul came out, and I just had a thought that maybe he could hitch a ride with Nick Hogan, and then we could get the same result, except both of them could be gone. So anyway, I bet you could devour a meat stick right now, Michael Cole. Again, phrasing just being thrown out and hurled down, landing on the floor of the Kemper Arena. Orton and Jelly Roll took on Drew and Logan Paul in a Slim Jim sponsored match, and okay, look. Bless Jelly Roll for trying to take these bumps. Logan Paul hit a hell of a goddamn frog splash through the announcer's table. I'm glad that Drew got back in the country in time to do this match. I'm glad he's able to try to salvage this match. And of all the celebrity matches that, were all the celebrities that were involved in wrestling matches, that is, this was certainly one of them. Logan did the Hogan pose and pointed up to heaven. Logan, Hogan's in the same place you're going to. He ain't up in heaven. He's down there in hell. So, the announcer's table bump was cool, and I'm sure that Jelly was very gassed. I would almost think you'd have to be, regardless how much weight you've lost. It is a tough thing, and he respects wrestling. I'm not saying he doesn't. But God, that was stiff. There was a beautiful brunette as one of the paramedics or one of the doctors. My word. My word. Then 2-on-1 for a bit, and then Jelly Roll comes back. He does a choke slam spot that takes about 8 years to set up. The Jets cycled through 2 more QBs, and the Giants blew 3 more leads as that happened. And a black roll slam, and Michael Cole deserves to be absolutely vilified for that, except for one thing a little bit later on. RKO, but then they splash onto Jelly Roll 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then we see Triple H, the attempt at Dana White of WWE, the man that controls all this stuff, the man that was at Trump's first inauguration, that is there being part of the presidential physical fitness program. As if that doddering, stumbling, drooling vegetable, that diseased orange blob, would know anything about fitness. And I ain't talking about age. There are people in their goddamn 80s and 90s that are way more physically fit. There are people, like, you could go to a local YMCA. You could be on the elliptical. You could see people that maybe don't move as fast as they used to, but you could see elderly people still staying fit. And this freaking goddamn disease blob that some of you dumb motherfuckers think is actually a good president, and he's not. He never was. He exposed the fact that you're all a bunch of racist, bigoted assholes that don't deserve children or happiness, or wives or husbands that you aren't related to. Actually, that is unfair, because who else but your own family would want to be anywhere near you? Except there are some families that don't actually want anything to do with other family members that support the criminal piece of shit. I've cut out my own family members, some family members that want to support him. So, quite frankly, I think we should all do the same. You did it to own the libs. Now you're losing your goddamn asses and people are regretting their votes. When you didn't learn the first time, the second time, and now nobody should have any sympathy for you. Triple H, by the way, we're not a political company. The fuck you aren't. You goddamn idiot. You are a liar. You have been see-through. That's why nobody's never going to believe you. That's why everybody sees through everything that you say. Triple H has made a fuck ton of money through really just marrying the right person. Just being in the right spot at the right time. Was he a great talent in the ring? Yes, for a spell. Was he overpushed? Yes, he was. Was he somebody that fought through injuries when he didn't have to? Sure. He's also somebody that learned from Vince. Hopefully not everything from Vince, but he learned enough. And Michael Cole was reading, he's making America healthy again. And fit again, or whatever it was. And Cole sounded like a friggin' hostage there. Cole probably should be held hostage for his crimes against wrestling commentary, but I digress. I know this will probably irritate the few stupid Trump fuckers that are still watching this, and I don't care. I've tried running people off that feel that way. I have gotten to where I won't talk to various, former mutuals on social media, people that I talked to for a good long while. Because I will not take this as political differences. This is being stupid. Just being stupid and hateful and monstrous. And if you want to call me hateful, fine. I will give it right back. Because I can be a lot more vitriolic than any of y'all could ever imagine. Speaking of vitriolic, here's Punk. Shout out to Skinny Mysterio, Taryn on Twitter, said they put him in the main event so he won't punch people backstage. I said, but he just choked them a little bit. Punk got a big pop in a sing-along wearing the Fantastic Four colors. Fantastic Four is a great goddamn movie, by the way. Fantastic Four First Steps. And Gunther gets his typical entrance. This is sponsored by the General. You know, if you want to save some time. Or no. Something about insurance. I forget the jingle, even though I've heard it a lot. Gunther versus Punk for the world title. Big fight feel. I'm not going to get into every bit of minutia about this whole thing, but I will say that Gunther took it slow. He didn't dip it low. I believe that was an Ashante song. Nevertheless, he did hit a lot of chops. Punk's chest was bleeding up here. There was comments about Punk being, getting up there in age and not having too many opportunities. An abdominal stretch where Gunther was just fisting him from the side. When you have a 6'3", 6'4" Austrian man fisting you, you are going to notice. And if it's on camera, people are definitely going to see. No further explanation will be provided, by the way. Shut up. So, chops and chops and chops, and Punk kept trying to come back, but he would get shut down. Sharpshooter trading. Punk really tried to sit up out of that sharpshooter. It's better than the Rock sharpshooter, but then again, Jesus fucking Christ, I think, they could get Brett to do a better sharpshooter now, and he hasn't done anything athletic in a while. A splash for 2. A GTS got reversed into a powerbomb, or got blocked, then turned into a powerbomb. Then a shotgun drop kick, shrieking Kurt Cobain noises. Powerbomb for 2, and then chops in the corner, and a throw into the corner and into the ropes. And Punk fires up and trips up Gunther. And Gunther apparently had been battling some nose issues and might have to take time off, which explains why they did what they did. Now, if it wasn't real blood, it was pretty damn close. I think he might have bladed because they cut away, but he was adjusting his nose, that kind of stuff, and also he was bleeding pretty good. And we got a knee in the corner, but then Gunther got the choke, but that got fought out. We got 1 GTS, Gunther was staggered, 2 GTSs, and 1, 2, 3. New champion. And they had that, they had the graphic, and the instant I saw they weren't going right to the pyro, I go, it was a work, and he's going to cash in, isn't he? And then Seth shows up in crutches, and I'm like, he's going to toss those crutches to the side, and he went to go away, saying, I'm going to cash in on you at some point. And then he tosses him to the side. And then he runs down to the ring with the briefcase. Beats the fuck out of Punk with the briefcase. Hits a stomp. 1, 2, 3. And everybody's celebrating, dance to the music. Ha, 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 ha. I don't know why it sounded like Crankor from Prince of Space, but nevertheless, that actually was a pretty good ending. I don't mind them going this route if the end game is Punk and Rollins having a match, maybe a Survivor Series, or if you want to nurse this along until WrestleMania, to be quite honest, you could do it. But if you want to go to the Survivor Series, Punk wins, much like he did at the 2011 Survivor Series, and then goes on a run for a bit as champion, maybe just till WrestleMania. I'm fine with that. But Seth had to cash in, you have to continue this, and eventually you're going to have Braun against Rollins, Brawlins, as it were. And it was, it was fine at the beginning, it was fine at the end, and then there was a lot of this in the middle. That being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritland. Until we meet again in Night 2, happy trails to you.